And it's that time. We're gonna finish the Mordheim for beginners. So we're at part number 3. I'm sorry for taking so long. Life happens, and well, you know how it is. But we're gonna move on to the last part of what you need to do during a Mordheim game, if you're playing a campaign, obviously, and that is the post-game sequence, where you have leveling up, you have purchases, you add more members to your warband, and you might find some cool stuff in shops or while out exploring. So this part of the game is one of the more enjoyable ones. I mean, I love the gaming, I love the chatting and the camaraderie, but it's the leveling up, getting new skills, getting injuries, finding cool stuff, or chance of weird shit happening that really sets Mordheim apart from a lot of the other games out there, because you don't have that level of intimacy, I would say, with your characters and your warband. So this is really what drew me to the Mordheim experience when I first played it ages ago when it came out, and it's still the thing that's keeping me in the game today. Now, if you look at the rulebook, you will see that there are a couple of more sections to this particular part of the post-game sequence than I will go through. Because the rulebook does say that you go through injuries, you allocate experience, roll exploration chart, sell wyrdstone, check available veterans, make rarity rolls to buy rare items, look for Dramatis Persona, hire new recruits and buy common items, reallocate equipment, and update warband rating. Now, while all of these can be available and be done in a campaign, I rarely see all of these done. So what we will go through are the most used ones and take you through that step by step. So we're gonna do this in the order that it's supposed to be done. So you just finished your game and you need to check who lives or who dies. So first we come to serious injuries for henchmen and heroes. So we're going to start with the henchman. Do you have any casualties? Let's assume that he was taken out of action. So we need to roll to see if this henchman stays in the game and can participate in the next round or not. To do that, you take a d6 and you roll that. You get a 1 to 2 and he is dead. You need to replace him and the equipment that he had is lost. Henchman on any other roll than a 1 and 2 is completely fine and returns to the warband. Once henchman is done, you move on to your heroes. Now, Hans here, despite being the awesome leader that he is, he got taken out of action during his previous game. So we need to roll for his injuries to see if he's fully recovered, if he dies, or if he has any odd things happen to him in the post-game sequence. To do that, you roll a d66. So one dice has to be the tenor and one has to be the 1. So to roll for Hans, you roll the 10, which ends up at a 5. So it's 52. With 52, you go and check on the serious injuries chart for characters or heroes, and you make your way to number 52 and you will see this result. So while Hans rolled a 52, which is a full recovery, it's not the most fun result. So we're going to assume that Hans rolled a 62. That's much better. That means if that was his result, he would have been hardened. He experienced something during his fight that really toughened him up, and he is now immune to fear. Now there are several results on the table that gives you bonuses, even though you were taken out of action. Some of them are risky, some of them are just you get better. There are more results that will lead to your permanent death, permanent injury, staying out of the game for a few rounds. But everything also from the 40s to 55 means that your hero has a full recovery. After you're done with the injuries, we move on to experience. And what do you know? Everyone survived. Go figure. So experience is given after each game, and it's based on what your heroes or henchmen has done during the game. Now, in most cases, everyone will get an experience point if they survive the game. This means even if they were taken out of action, as long as they live after you roll the injuries, they will gain 1 experience. A winning leader will also gain an additional experience. So just for surviving the battle, Hans will get 2 experience. In addition, heroes, and only heroes, unless something else is stated, will get XP for every model that they kill during the game. So, assuming that Hans also took out 2 models during the game, he will gain an additional 2 experience. Now, lastly, the one thing that is usually always a part of scenarios is wyrdstone. For each wyrdstone that a character or a group of henchmen has picked up, they also gain 1 experience. Now, one important thing to note is that henchmen do not gain experience for killing other miniatures. They only gain experience for surviving the game or picking up wyrdstone. Now we come to the fun part, which is the leveling up. Now, regardless whether they are a character or a henchman, they will all use 2d6 for their leveling up. In addition to that, characters not only can increase their characteristics, but they also can have some sort of skills when they level up that will add some sort of special ability, whether it's triggered by something special happening, or if it might be a constant effect that's always available to them. So to do this, let's start with the henchman group. We're going to assume that they level and that Hans level. So for the henchmen, we roll 2d6 and we check this table. We are rolling to level up a group of henchmen. Now, regardless of what we roll, aside from results 10 to 12, which we will get to, the whole unit or group of henchmen will gain the same stats. So let's take a look at what we roll. That'll be a 7. So we take our 7 and we confer with the table, and that shows us that 627 is choose either 1 ballistic skill or 1 weapon skill. Now, naturally, with a group of marksmen, you want to give them more ballistic skill, so obviously they will get now an upgrade to the ballistic skill, increasing that by 1. Now, an important thing to note about every single group of henchmen that can gain experience and can level up is that they can only ever increase any of their characteristics once. Once they've done all that, they can't advance any further. So we're going to assume that we rolled a 12 for the henchman group. That means the lad has got talent. So one of these boys has been chosen due to their extraordinary feats of combat prowess or whatever during the battle to become a hero. What you do then is you remove him from his henchman group, you place him with the heroes, and you just copy his stats over to the heroes. Now, not only does this trigger a couple of things. Firstly, you have to roll again for the henchman group. So initially they got a 12, but we have to roll again because one of them just got a hero upgrade instead. The rest of the group, well, that was an 11, which they can't get because you can only get 1 Lad's Got Talent per round. So we'll try it again. This is working out perfectly. A 9. So the unit now gets +1 leadership instead. That brings us to our newly found hero. He now has some choices to make. Firstly, you have to pick 2 skill tables that is available to the warband that he can select skills from should he get a result where he can choose skills. So let's assume that he takes combat and shooting. That sounds like something that can work for a guy with 2 pistols, wouldn't you say? I would absolutely agree. Now, once you've done that and you transferred his stats also over to the sheet of the heroes, you put up his equipment, you then roll to see what kind of level up he gets, in addition to being a new hero. So he rolls a 4, which brings us over to leveling up for the heroes. So a 4 on the advancement table for heroes means a new skill. So from the 2 tables that we just picked for our new hero, he can choose whatever skill that he wants from those 2 lists and apply to his character sheet, and that will be with him permanently. Now we take a look at our leader Hans. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 7. Now if we look at the character sheet or the advancement sheet there, we see that he will choose either weapon skill or ballistic skill as well. Now this warband is obviously made for shooting, so he will increase his ballistic skill as well, increasing it from a 4 to a 5. Now we move on to the income part of the game. This is where you generate money, which all warbands need to keep living, basically. The way you do that is, we're going to assume that the warband won, because Hans did get 1 bonus experience for winning leader, so that's the way it goes. He rolls a d6, your next hero rolls a d6, and your last hero from when you started the game rolls a d6. You do not get to roll for the newly formed hero, so you have 3 dice to roll for exploration. In addition to this, since you won the game, you get 4 dice to roll on the exploration chart. So let's roll that and see what happens. That is a total of 11. A roll of 11 means that you find 2 wyrdstone shards. So you now have a treasury of 2 wyrdstone shards, plus the one that your henchmen found, because they needed that to level up. So you now have 3. Now, 3 wyrdstone shards will give you a certain amount of gold, depending on how many miniatures are in your warband. So we have 4 heroes and 2 henchmen currently, which means 6. So if you look at the sell table for wyrdstone, you will see that 3 wyrdstone shards for that amount of models will give you 55 gold if you sell them all. So let's assume we just do that. But we have 2 ones, which means something special happens. So when you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the same dice showing the same number, you go to check the exploration chart and doubles or triples section and so on to see what happens. So as you can see on the double section, since we rolled a double one, this is a well. You can choose a hero, and that would be one of these 3 gentlemen, to jump into a well that they accidentally found on their way out. If he manages a toughness roll, in this case, these gentlemen have a toughness of 3, so he has to roll a 3 or less, he can jump down into the well and find a wyrdstone. But if he fails, he has to miss the next game. That, for me, is high-stakes gambling with a toughness of 3, but for shits and giggles, we're going to try it. So we're going to do this guy, our senior student, is going to jump in the well. He rolls a 2. So I find another wyrdstone, and I'm going to choose that, put that in my treasury, so next game I can sell an additional wyrdstone. So after all that's done, we now are going to go and look for some rare items. To do that, you pick one of your heroes that was heroes during the battle, so these 3, not him, he doesn't get to do anything until the next game, and say that, hey, they're going to go search for some rare stuff. So Hans is going to go search for a lucky charm. Now, a lucky charm has a rarity of 6+, which means I need to roll a 6 on 2d6. That's a 3, so he doesn't find one. All right, so I'm going to send my instructor. He's going to try the same. 5. He doesn't get it. Last chance I have. My senior student. He succeeds. He rolls an 11, so he does find a lucky charm, which costs 10 gold. Now, I buy this for the warband, so I don't have to give it to him. I'm going to place this on someone, one of my heroes, once I finish everything else. So I'm just going to put that in stored equipment. Now, for rare items, you can only search as many times as you have a hero that survived the battle. Now, we have 55 gold to, well, actually not 55, we have 45 golds to spare. So I want to do something with that. So I want to increase my warband size. So I want to try to hire this gentleman, and I'm going to place him in a new henchman group. Now, ignore the fact that he has a rifle, since we're just doing this for show. But we're going to say that he and the equipment that I want for him, it costs 40 gold. No brainer. I buy it. I add his stat line to his roster, or to my roster sheet. I add his equipment to the equipment sheet and whatever special rules he has on the special rules section. Now, if you're doing this and starting a new group, that's the way it goes. But let's say that you wanted to add this gentleman to this group of existing henchmen. You would then have to equip him with the same equipment that they already have, which would be brace of pistol and light armor. If you do that, and he will then get the initiative that is rolled for when they skilled up. But to put him in an existing henchman group, you also have to roll experience allocation. Now, they have 2 experience, and rolling allocation of XP just means that you roll 2d6. You can buy up to 4 XP worth of henchmen and place them in the group. So let's assume that they had 3 experience. You would still be within, and he can be placed in the group. Now that you've done all that, you can take a look at equipment that you have stored, equipment that you have in your warband, and see if you want to redistribute that to someone else who might be better suited to use different kind of weapons. The Lucky Charm or that we have, I'm going to place that on Hans so he doesn't get taken out in the next game again, because you really don't want your leader to die. That is bad. After you've placed your equipment wherever you want to be, you then take a look at your total experience, because that will change after the game, because models gain experience every game, most of them anyway. You may add new miniatures that will add experience, and you have to increase your member experience, your actual experience, and update your rating. And that's pretty much it. Now, there are a couple of more things that is within the realms of the leveling up and experience section that you need to pay attention to. The underdogs, if you have way less experience rating or warband rating than the other warband, you might get bonus experience, so keep an eye out for that. It's all in the rulebook or in the downloadable rulebook that you will find on Mordheim. So one last thing before we wrap this up. When you look at Mordheim, you have a lot of warbands from the 1A, B, and C sections. They're pretty much fairly decent versus against each other. When you go beyond that, they're a little imbalanced due to little testing, and they might be a little bit more powerful, so I would be careful using them. In any case, all the warbands have access to skill tables. Now, the vanilla warbands less so, because they have, most of them, only access to the base skill sets. Now, if you move on to the B and C sections, the 1A, B, and C, they will have special section, which means that they have their own skills as well. Now, I do remember correctly, I know, because I play one of them often, some of the 1A warbands also have this available to them as special skills that only that warband can take. So, as I said prior in this video, take a look at what's available, read the experience, leveling up, and this whole section carefully, so you don't get it all messed up, because it can really switch the balance of a game and make it highly unfair if you don't take a good look and do it right. With that, I thank you for watching. I hope this little 3-video series has been helpful to someone, and if not, well, I'm sorry I didn't do better. Let me know what I can do to improve, and I'll try to do that until next time. So, until next time, I'll see you later. And we want to take a minute to thank our sponsors. Green Stuff World, for all your hobby tools, paints, and accessories needs. Fogel Pens and Creations, a dragon sword of cool woodwork items. And GameMat.eu, turn your table into a real battlefield with first-class game mats.